You face some problem. Ranjit, is it
Yes,
fine
sorry.
from your side?
Yeah, now it's better, I think. Yeah, so we will walk you through about uh, a series of learning on the SAP Build Process Automation. Myself and Ankur, and walk through breakdown in a session of 3 to 4 or 5, depending upon the nature of the session, and create a whole ecosystem around the build process automation and different use cases which we have incorporated in real time during our projects or something like that, and make sure all of us have a learning. We are trying to build an ecosystem along with Satish here, where we share and learn from each other. It's not like we know everything. It's just we are sharing and learning from all of you. Yeah. So Ankur, anything else you want to add about the plan which we have?
No, no, just go ahead.
Yeah. So this is our agenda today. At a high level, we'll talk about what is SAP Build, and then build process automation is part of that portfolio. Then key functionality of SBPA, integration with SAP Build, initial setup, and use SAP Build Process Automation for one of the use case to show you, and then Ankur will walk you us through from the use case perspective from the real time, and we'll see accordingly. Yeah. So if you see in the BTP, so BTP is a bigger umbrella which SAP has basically brought in terms of having the intelligent enterprise. Yeah. And we all are looking into the SaaS model, and the way we are looking for a scalable solution for our future and make the solution such a versatile, like it can be accessible from any device anywhere. Yeah. So it's not about only build. SAP BTP is offering many area. In that, one of the area is the build. Yeah, we have integration, you have AI, you have lots of other portfolio where you can develop your own intelligent enterprise application in that particular portfolio side. So you can see here, you can do the app development, you can have the automation, integration, data and analytics. So it's coming from the now BDC is the hot topic. Then you have the data sphere, SSC, and all those things are comprising together is building a big portfolio for the business technology platform. And that's the future looking together today, the world which we are there, and we can have all the integration basically. Yeah. So going forth, we have this build. Build is that particular portfolio. So once you subscribe and you have basically a global account or sub account, so that's how it goes around. Yeah. So build is one of the service. Yeah. So you can have that service there in your BTP, and you have to assign the necessary role, whatever is required once you subscribe. So once you go into the BTP, you have your global account, then you have the sub account, and you have the necessary entitlement. Accordingly, you can. So in the build is one umbrella under the BTP. You can have the low code portfolio, you can have the pro code portfolio, you can have the automation. So you can see here the compose application, the SAP build app under the SAP build portfolio we have. Then we have the automation process by the build process automation. And like we had before the cloud portal service, then we moved into the SAP build work zone standardization, wherein we can design our sites, yeah, where we have the tiles, catalogs, groups, and all those things. But the advanced version of that is the SAP build work zone advanced edition, where you have the more insightful information using the cards and all those features you can see in our screenshot whatever we have provided here. Yeah, so it's under the build. We say just SAP build process automation, but SAP build process automation is not just one part of that. It's basically comprise of many things together. Yeah. So let me move ahead. I don't know what is happening.
Are you not able to move, Ranjit?
No, again it's just stuck. Okay.
Now it's moving actually.
Yeah, somewhere something is tricky. Let me see again. Yeah, so this is our build portfolio. Then you go in the build family where I was talking about in the SAP build family, we have build an application. So you can build a low code application by the build app. So where we can build a mobile application, where we can build a backend application or web application. By the left hand side, you can see here this part. And when we want to build a pro code, yeah, so we have two different parts where we have the citizen developer and we have the pro developers. Like us, we are developing the application, or we have a functional colleague, they would like to present a use case to the business on a very like 1 or 2 day timeline, just as a prototype, not a real time application. It's not like the build app can only have the prototype based application. It can build basically a real-time application also. Depending upon the use case, to use case we have to segregate. So that's primarily for the citizen developer, wherein you have the drag and drop flexibility with which you can build your application. But now you want to build some enterprise grade application in a real time manner, wherein you would like to introduce a pro developer from your portfolio. So then it will come the SAP build code. So where we have the Fury application or full stack application creation from our side. So like business application studio we have. So build code is comprising the same feature going forward, and where we have the development of capability of the pro code developer. Then we have the build and automation process. So like we have the flexible workflow in the S/4HANA side, or we had the SWDD workflow in the ACC world and the S/4HANA private cloud and on-premise world. That automation process, and before SAP was offering the workflow as one of the service. Now in build they have brought, and all this automation we want to have about a process can be automated via the build process automation, which comes under the build lobby. Yeah, and you don't, and that communicate between the SAP and non-SAP system and have consumption of the API. And there are lots of ways we have to introduce consuming a service, consuming a form, a custom form develop, and then you consume that into your uh, build process automation. So all those things we have planned over the period of time in our different sessions. We will be sharing it out. So in our session at this point in time, what we are going to plan, the main focus is the build process automation and how we can leverage the capabilities of build process automation to automate our business process in terms of the workflow. So if you see in the left hand side, hello, any questions? If not, then so we in the left hand side we have the build process, and now we have the IRPA. Basically in that, like that, we have the task automation. So we want to automate a task in terms. Ankur, am I audible? I'm hearing
Yes,
some
good,
background,
good,
so I
good.
thought somebody had question. Okay.
Yeah, there is somebody trying to join, so I'm muting all and I'll unmute you once again so that you can unmute and then you can speak. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Ranjit.
Okay, so hope now I'm audible back.
Yeah, you're audible.
So yeah, so this is what it is. So we had the task automation, and then we have the manage work as precision package, and the right hand side. What is this? I don't know. We have to see. So we'll just move ahead. And then we have the automate visually, simplify process and the task automation, whatever I was talking about from that. So if you go into the build lobby, once Ankur will be showing us from the demo perspective. So once we log in into our BTP account and then we go into the build app, in the build lobby, when we're trying to create a new fresh project, we have different options like build an application, build an automation process, or build a business site. So all these three tile, you can say, as if we all are from the SA portfolio, so like that it calls a tiles or card, whatever we want to name as a reference for our convenience. I'm not giving anything like from the SAP standpoint. It's again, I'm just say I'm comfortable calling it a tile because it looks like a tile for me, so I call it tile. So it again individual to individual. So when you go into the build and you create a project, what happens, it will give you a this all three flavors we have, and now we have one more also coming up in the new build feature. So you want to develop an application, you will select a build an application where you will again have two portfolio. You have the low code part, SAP build app, and then you have the pro code, SAP build code will come into the picture. Yeah. So just 1 minute. Okay. So here what happens then, you want to, because our interest is here for this particular session is to build an automated process, a workflow sort of process. So we are selecting here a build an automation process, and then we proceed further. It will give us the sense of build process automation flavor. So there are ways we can basically segregate what we were selecting for, because it has build lobby is a big portfolio altogether in the SAP, and that's the go-to for all of us in near future if we are still into the, I'll not say again the legacy, but if we are working in the SEC or you are working just into the S/4HANA on-premise world, and when you will move into the area of clean core strategy and the side-by-side extension, and trying to make your system more cleaner and upgrade ready and upgrade safe, then we all have to look forward. How do you want to design? Again, it's depending upon the solution and the design of your solution architect, and depending upon the use case to use case. If you have a use case which basically gets met and fulfilled by the flexible workflow in the S/4HANA side, obviously we don't have a need to come into the BTP and build automation process integrating with the S/4HANA. Yeah. So depending upon the use case, you will decide how do you want to proceed in near future for your business or for customers, or however you would like to basically go around. Then I go inside more into the SAP build process automation. So you can see whatever we are talking, it integrates with the SAP and non-SAP. So you have different ways you can create your own destination. You can have the endpoints and the API event-based actions. So many things are there as part of this build process automation. And then we have the form. There are a couple of forms comes out of the box in the build process automation. Yeah. So what happens, you have that those forms are basically simple in nature. So what we have seen, wherever we have worked with me and Ankur, we have seen those forms will mitigate the need of 60 to 70% of the use case. But what happens, suppose you have a use case where these forms are coming very standard from the use case perspective, and there is a customer requirement. Hey, I want this particular field estate partner sold to, or whatever it is, ship to everything, and so much customization in their forms are there, which basically not getting catered from the SAP provided form for the approval and the submission of data of coming from the build process automation. In that case, what's the next thing for us? In that particular case, obviously you have the flexibility. You can go and create an UI5 application and create all the required form in the form of that UI5 application, and then you can import your custom forms into the build process automation. So that's also possible. Then we have SAP has introduced uh, a task center. Now the task center is going unified mechanism. Yeah, it's not getting now stick to only the SAP build. So where you want to integrate with SuccessFactors, you want to integrate with Ariba, all those tasks. Like we have the in S/4HANA my inbox. Yeah. So here also in the build SAP build for the SAP build process automation, we had this my inbox concept, but the task center is a new stuff. Yeah, wherein you have the integration with all the SAP provided solutions, and whatever you are responsible, it will reflect back as an user for you in this particular task center. And that's the go-to for all these features whatever we have in terms of a user responsibility for all of us under the task center to have the automation unified launchpad and the task center whatever we covered. Yeah, so now we have the BRF plus. So why I am talking a bit from the SAP portfolio from the S/4HANA side, because it's the more or less what, if you are aware about those features whatever coming from the S/4HANA side, the build process understanding will make your life easier. Yeah, we have the BRF plus, we have the decision table and all those things. Similar things has been introduced, taking care of the purpose of enterprise perspective into the build process automation, wherein you can design your own business rule and the decision tables. Yeah, and those decisions tables can be fed into your build process automation, that particular automation you are creating for a use case. And you can have like for example, like the cost greater than or equal to 1,000, this particular flow should trigger, and this is the path which I would like to take further on. So that's how you design your business rule and the decision, and you feed into that your process whatever you are creating. Again, what has happened, SAP is giving the main purpose of SAP is now to have the SAP managed solution, wherein SAP is trying to cater more and more solution coming from SAP portfolio instead where customers and the partners have to create, because I come from don't want to comment so much about this thing from SAP, but because every LOB have their own um, development and the roadmap and all those things. But what SAP is trying to, with my 10 years of 3+ year with SAP, SAP is trying to make the life of our customers and the partners easier so that they are trying to learn from over the period of time, okay, what sort of problem we as a partners or customers are getting when we are doing the implementation, and they would like to build those solutions, yeah, over the time and give a ready-made solution for the customers and the partners, and you just plug in and plug out, and your use case should be catered around that. So like that's where we have the pre-built content. When you are going to have this automation process in your build process automation, first evaluate what's the use case you have for your business, and if it's getting met with all those process automation whatever SAP has catered over there, you can just have the plug in and plug out, and then your business process and governance can go around. If not, then only you go around creating and reinventing the wheel from that custom development perspective. If it's getting fulfilled, then no need for all of us to do anything like that. And all the API, whatever SAP is offering, it's available in the Business Accelerator Hub. So Business Accelerator Hub is the Bible for all the API events, objects, whitelisted, and all those things which are cloud ready. Yeah, are available there, and you can go and find out all those things, and those API you can consume from your S/4HANA box. It might be your private cloud, public cloud, or on-premise, and accordingly you can have that document understanding, and all those things can be taken care. Let's proceed further. Process and workflows, there is nothing like new we have to talk here. So it's just about drag and drop here. It's about the citizen developer. If you have just a better understanding of your business and all those perspective, you are the right person to start building your workflow, or the process automation would be the right word here instead of talking more about workflow. Yeah, it's obviously it's a workflow only, but then you just have to have the low code no code flavor here as a citizen developer or as a functional colleague to drive your whole process automation. Yeah, just need to, there are lots of developer.sap.com tutorials, and obviously we have divided our tutorials in the 4 to 5 sessions wherein we'll walk you through. So first, in this session we are trying to give a glimpse what it is and why it is. Yeah, then in the next session we'll go more in depth and build the use case what we have encountered over the duration of 2 to 3 years what we have worked in this area and portfolio. Obviously not any customer data and customer use case, we'll build from the trial account and show you. And we, our purpose is basically to build our ecosystem more towards this niche technology. So this is how you will plug in and plug out, and then once we have the demo there, and we'll show you these steps whatever the citizen developer can perform to have this step-by-step grid creation, form creation, decision mapping, a step after one step to second step, how the process is flowing, how you can add the responsible user, how you can assign your decision tables and the decision graph there. So then we have this automate visually, integrate seamlessly, and collaborate securely. There is nothing new I have to talk. Already we have covered in our previous and connect with this. Yeah, so then you can see here we have divided this, not we have divided, basically SAP has divided this whole SAP Build lobby into the two flavors of low code and pro code. So SAP Build App, SAP Build Process Automation, and SAP Build Work Zone. So all those things comes under the flavor of low code, where a citizen developer have the enough information to start and drive their part. Yeah. So you want to build some prototype or some low perspective of application in the shorter duration of time. Obviously, you can go with the build app. Then you have the build process automation, what we are going to talk about it more, and build work zone, whether you want to create a site out of this or you want to create a card, then you can go for the advanced edition. And now this SAP build lobby has been integrated with the web environment. Yeah. So whatever the key user extensions we were doing from the custom field and custom logic application, they have integrated in the recent announcement, and now it's available in the SAP build area, wherein we can do those key user extents and custom field, custom logic, and all those things in the web environment from the pro code area of the build. Yeah. And now this SAP Business Application Studio has been formalized here. And now they're bringing this with the new name, or you can say the rebranding, SAP Build Code. So SAP Build Code is similar to SAP Business Application Studio. That is for the pro developer, wherein you can do your cloud native development for the CAP, yeah, using Node.js or Java and JavaScript, and you can build even the only Fury application or MDK application, yeah, mobile development toolkit, and all those things. And that's how the segregation has been done over here. Unified lobby, we have this, and this is what we discussed already. So all those things you can go and see there. So here we have the SBPA monitoring. So what happens if something we are working on and we want to see the monitors, what is going on? And so monitor collects events originating from the provider workflow and automated jobs and display them to the users. The event represents agents and status. So basically what happens, we will have an endpoint. So what we are building from that SAP build process automation, that will give us an endpoint to trigger, because where we have the workflow basically in the flexible workflow or SWDD underscore scenario in our legacy system. There also we have a trigger point. What's the condition? What's the threshold? Which will trigger that point and send the required notification to the responsible L1 approval or L2 approval and all those things. Similarly, here also we have an endpoint coming from that automation process, whatever has been built from the SAP build process automation, and those monitoring we can offer from the area of SBPA monitoring area. So we can see all those things like process and the workflow. You can see below we are showing here what is the visibility scenario and the business rule. All those things here we can monitor, and this is basically a high level citizen developer uh, tracing information, basically, if I have to say like that. So you have now in S4 HANA, we have, before we are going to SLG1 and all those things. So like that, the log trace and all those things are available in the S4 HANA public cloud and private cloud for the citizen developer, because in the public cloud, you can't have the backend access for the GUI. So how do you trace your process of failure or success, or if you want to see that? Similar to that, here also we have the monitoring area, wherein as a citizen developer, if you are building something, you can have a look of everything at a glance, and then you can see if you have a problem, you can go more inside that and you can look into that. Then we have SBPA user types. Just 1 minute.
So for all people who are listening, thanks. Please just leave a thumbs up if the audio and video both are clear, so that we know things are good at your end. Okay. Just go to the reactions and you can figure. Thank you, Abhinandan.
Yeah, so I'll
Thank you,
just take,
Raghu. Yeah, thank
yeah,
you.
thanks
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah, I think
I'll
everybody.
just take
Yeah, go ahead.
2 more minutes and then hand it over to my colleague Ankur. So there are different users when I was talking about in the SAP build area. So see, again, I'm emphasizing SAP build is a portfolio. Yeah, in that we have different SAP low code, no code area, and that we are segregating like SAP build, then build process automation, work zone we have, then in the pro code SAP build, and this web integration, and all those things are there. Okay, so similarly, because we are talking about the professional developer, we are talking about the citizen developer, then you have the end user who will consume the information, then administrator who will basically configure and integrate with the system, SAP and non-SAP system. Similarly, there are different sort of users we have, and how do we grant access to them, and how, what's the different portfolio or their responsibility driving from that. So you have the end user or the process participant who will just don't worry about anything, they just want to govern the process and they want to focus on the business derivation, that's it. Then we have the citizen developer who can go and use the low code tool, and they will have just drive this build app, or they will create a low profiling of this automation process. And then we have the professional developer. We can use the low code tool also, and they can use the professional tools of the pro developer. And they have, if they are good enough in terms of understanding of technology, obviously, I don't mean to say they're not good enough, but everybody, like, sometimes it might be possible I know Node.js, but I don't know suppose Java, but I know Java, but I don't know Node.js. So it's upon depending upon the situation. So if we know as a professional developer everything, then we have the flexibility to drive the whole implementation, low code also and pro code also. And then we have the administrator who will connect to different part, like uh, different systems to consume the API, and from here on giving the access to the professional developer, citizen developer, and the end user. And then you have the global account administrator, and they will govern what all services we need and what all services we don't need, and that's how they drive the information for different user, and the process will be there. So I'll take a pause here. Yeah, so you have this plans and all those things. So we'll talk over here in the demo. I don't, because with the interest of time, we are already just 30 minutes down. I wanted to cover it in 25 minutes. So you have different plans for every services which you want to consume. So you will have the standard plans, you have the free plans. So what happens? This all these things we have the trial account. So what these are the services which are available into the trial account. You can have start playing around with this, and if you have a S/4HANA system, you can integrate by that. If you have private cloud and all, you can have that cloud connector and integrate that. And if you have public cloud, you can have the communication user and communication arrangement, and by that you can have the destination and consume those information there. And then we have the free plan, where we have, suppose, a professional commercial version we have for an organization. Then in the free tier and all those things, we can go and consume these informations. And let's stop, take a pause here, and we'll go for the demo now. So over to you, Ankur. And if you have any questions so far, you can stop us here, and we'll try to answer your query for a minute, and then we'll move on to the demo.
So, thank you, Ranjeet.
Thanks, Ankur.
Okay, team, do let me know once you all able to see my
Yes,
screen.
Ankur, it's visible.
So, thank you, Ranjeet. Okay, so I'm in SAP BTP trial edition. So probably you all can able to log into the trial version either with your company or professional email ID, or you can use your personal email ID, and you can log in into the BTP trial on cockpit. You can easily find out from the Google if you enter simply SAP BTP cockpit trial home. So you will get it here, and you just log in with your email ID, and you have access to the welcome to SAP BTP trial home page, right? If you some of the you already know, so we can start it from here. You go to the trial home. Okay, so by default, SAP is provided you one sub account with the name trial. So once you first start with your SAP BTP cockpit landscape setup, they will create a one trial version for you, and you will get two region access either from the Singapore or from the US East VA. Any of the regions you can choose it based of your interest, and you can configure your BTP cockpit environment, and you will land it here. Okay, so I will use this trial sub account. Okay, and here there are few configuration I already created. I created a one space. Okay, and if I go to the service sections, here we have instant and subscriptions. Okay, so by default, if we will go to the entitlement sections, okay, and try to check that SAP Build Process Automation. So if you see, we already have a SAP Build Process Automations provided by the SAP. So we have a plan standard for our applications, and we have a one free plan for our applications plus as well as for instances. So we need both application as well as plus our instance as well. What the mean of application and the instance, we will come a little bit time, right? So this is by default entitled from the SAP, so don't need to do anything from here from the entitlement. Either you can check it, either you have a access for SAP Build Process Automation service or not. Okay, once you have a access for your SAP Build Process Automations applications, you have to come here, instance and subscriptions, click on the create and check that SAP Build Process Automation. Here, select the plan. This is the subscriptions we are doing, right? You have to select the free subscriptions. I already subscribed. So for me, it's saying your sub account is already have that plan for that service, right? Otherwise, it will give you the options to create it. Once you create it, right, you will get options here. SAP Build Process Automations, and as Ranjit mentioned in the PowerPoint presentations, right? Once you create applications, there are few roles you need to assign it to yourself, right? So once you come up to the security, and under security there is a user section. Okay, and by default, once you log into the systems, your email ID will populate here, and there are few roles associated with the business process automations. Okay, that Ranjit mentioned in the PowerPoint slide. So these roles you have to assign it to yourself to access the SAP Build Process Automation applications. Okay, once you assign those roles or collections to yourself, then simply click on this icon, SAP Build Process Automation. Okay. So this is the landing page for SAP Build lobby. Welcome to SAP Build, where there are some icon is there. I will tell about each and individual section, what the mean for that and what they are doing, right? So this is the lobby by default, the landing page where you have a few sections, right? You create the build, a learning journey, create the approval process, invoice process, so browse the content. And there are some connectors if you need to, let's suppose, connect your services to that SAP Business Escalator Hub or maybe some other place or from the destination side. So you can click create buttons and there are multiple options. You can connect with your CAP application, ABAP applications, or data destinations, business escalator hub, multiple actions you can configure here in that action section. Same way, go to the events. If you have events, right, those events you want to configure it here, right? Let's suppose, take an example, so maybe from a purchase order, right? In S/4HANA, you have a purchase order. Once you create a purchase order, right, you want to send an event, right? And based on that event, you want to start the SAP Build Process Automation process, right? So how you can achieve that? So in events, all right, if you can come up here, create, right? So from the Business Escalator Hub, you can configure those events, right? If you see there are multiple events here, maybe one of them, let's say, sales order. Yeah, you see there are multiple events, sales contract events, document events, right? Any event based on your need, you can check it here and you can configure those events, and based on those events, you have a trigger point here, SAP Build Process Automation. How it will work will come up there slowly. Okay. Then there are automation SDKs. SDKs also you can configure. They are the stores and stored the already SAP Build Process Automations project. If you want to create as a store for your applications, those projects, you can also publish it here. And some of them already published by the SAP. So you can try to use those, how they got created, how we can use that, right? You can also experience those monitoring already uh, explained by Ranjit. And this is the important part, control tower. Control tower basically have the configurations, either a tenant configurations, your environment configurations, destinations based configuration. You want to configure email server, right? Or maybe in AI section, you want to configure agents, agent groups, all those things you can configure in the control tower. Okay. But how we have to be start, right? We have to come to the lobby section, and from lobby you have a option create, right? Once you click on the create button, so there are three sections. Applications, SAP, this is a part of SAP Build, right? Where you can create the applications for full stack application, front end, back end. That is not the topic for today, right? We are much interested into the SAP Build Process Automations, right? So this is the part. Click on the automated process and click to the next. So there are two types of build process automations type you can create, either a process or either automation. Automation basically the repetitive or recurring task you have type of automations, right? Where you want to achieve a scenario where you want to configure the recurring task, right? Or the repetitive task, you can create automations type of configurations. or if you have a requirement or a use case to create a process, right? So you can go and create a build process. And once you click on that build process, simply click on next, give your project name, descriptions. It's completely optional and create that. Okay. But today show things what the use case we are going to cover. Okay. So I hope you are able to see my PowerPoint presentation. Team, anyone?
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So this is the scenario we will cover today. So this is that business process project, right? We are in SAP Build Lobby as a business expert or a citizen developer or a functional consultant. All have the role to access the SAP Build Lobby. The scenario is we are going to create a invoice validations and approval process, right? So what we will going to do, we have a form, right? In form, we have invoice related details, right? So as a finance clerk or account payable have to fill that vendor invoice form, and that vendor invoice form will go to the approval for the invoice, right? And here a finance manager or a controller have access. Either they can approve that form or they can reject that form based on the information that is provided by the finance clerk into the vendor invoice form, right? So this is the process we have. We have a one form. That form will hold the informations for vendor. Once the finance clerk will upload the form or submit the form to the finance manager come to their account, and in their account they will get a notifications that finance clerk it submitted the form for their approval or a rejection. So once finance manager will go to their account, they will see a pre-built form with that pre-filled values, and they have to finance manager or a controller have to take that decisions. Either they have to be approved or to reject that that approval form as a notifications. Okay, this is the small process we will start it from today, and slowly we will build it on top of that how to create a multiple complex applications form that we can trigger from that applications and all, right? But to understand everyone and everyone have that same background knowledge, right, about the SAP build process automation. Let us start with the very basic scenario. Okay, this is the basic scenario we will cover it today. Okay. So let me go back here, and to save that time, so I already created a one form, invoice validations approval process form. If you see, this is the type of process. Okay, so I will come up here. Will take a bit to load the form. Yeah, if you see, this is the forms I already created, right? And I will explain each and individual part, how we can create and what the each individual's form meaning and how we can prepare the form. Okay, if you see, right, this is the scenario we discussed, right? We have a vendor invoice submission form, right? That form need to be filled by the finance clerk or the account payable, right? Vendor invoice form, right? So once vendor invoice form is submitted by the finance clerk, it will go to the vendor invoice approval, correct? And that vendor invoice approval will can be the finance manager or a controller in their notifications or in their inbox. They will get that pre-filled form that is submitted by the finance clerk, and they have authority. Either they can approve it or they can reject it. And approval form and the confirm form have a different type of content, right? If it is approved, right, it's have a different messages, right? If something got rejected by that finance manager, right, it's have a different process, right, or different information in the form, right? So either it got approved or it got rejected. We created two more form here, right? If you see this icon is type of field. Okay, so this is the simple use case we can try to achieve it by today. Okay, if I will click on this, you will see this is the form name, right? And this have some data, right? From where the data is coming. Okay, what I will do, I will click on these three tiles or 3 doors and open into the editor. Okay. So yeah, so this is the form. If you see, this is a completely and drag and drop based application. There are some headings or headlines, H1 or H2, and there are some paragraph you want to add, text box, or maybe a text area, or drop down, or maybe a choices, calendar, numbers, checkbox, or maybe a links. Anything you can drag and drop it here. Okay, and you can create your form. For a simplifications, I created a one form that have vendor invoice submission form, and it's have a submission related details data. Okay, what I filled basically the vendor name, its type of text, invoice number, type of number, invoice date, type of date, vendor email, when invoice amount, and the due date of the form, right? If you click on this particular labels, right, there are some properties, right? If you want to do the character limitations, right, how many the minimum and maximum number characters, you can do those limits, input validations, right? You want to fill that validations, right? When finance clerk submit this form, right? You want that the data should be properly validated, right, before it's got submitted, right? So you can add those validations here, input validation, or maybe you can create a custom validations also, right? And the configurations, you want to maintain the labels, it is required or read only, right? You can mention. So I mentioned everything is required. You will see the strict here, right? So what the finance color, right? Submit the form. Everything is mandatory. So he or she have to fill all those informations here. Okay. Once the form is get created, you simply click on the save button. It will get saved. Okay. This is the first form, the simple form we created. And it will take a little bit times to reload the screen again and again, right? And here, the second thing, once it's got submitted, second form, what we need to create, right? This one, invoice approval, right? So invoice approval as a finance manager, once the finance clerk submit this form, it will come to the invoice approval, right? For him to review the form and either to make a decisions, he or she have to approve or reject that form, right? So this is the second form that got created, right? And let me go to the open editor, first of all, to see you the values. Then I will discuss the other data. If you see here, all those are the locked. What that mean? These are the read-only informations, right? Read-only, correct? Everything is read-only. Why? Because what all the informations are submitted by the finance clerk, right? Those informations are only the read base, right? Or maybe the read only for the finance manager, right? He or she can't change any value rather than I gave him the one text box. He can add his comment, right? If he's approving, why he's approving, or if he or she is rejecting, why they are rejecting. So there are simple enter text, right? Other informations are come as a read-only form or to the finance manager that is submitted by the finance clerk, and he or she can enter his comment, right? Why they are approving and why they are rejecting. Okay, these are the simple uh, form, right? That get and drop from here. And other things I want to let you guys know. And go back again to the form. Yeah, if I will click on this, right? Subject, correct? When it will come to the finance manager inbox, right? So every message or email have a subject, right? So I'm saying a vendor invoice, vendor in name, right? From where the vendor name is coming? It's coming from here, the value, right? That we created here, right? This is the vendor name, right? So it get picked up the value from here. It will automatically, I will showcase it to you how it will come. So let me go back. I will click here. If you click on this, right, if you see that here, right, this have all that value here, right? You can choose that value and it will automatically populate it here, right? Descriptions, the priority of this form, and who is going to start, right? If I'm not the finance manager, right? So I assigned it to by myself, right? It started by me. So it will come in the my inbox, right? Because as of now, we don't have different roles, right? One is finance clerk, one is finance manager. So for everything, for the demo purpose, I assigned by myself all the things to myself. So I'm the finance manager. or I'm the finance clerk to start this process. I'm the finance manager who is going to approve this form, and it will come to my inbox. How it will come? We'll showcase it to you. Okay. Then go to the input sections, and you have to map those details, right? How it will come in the read-only form, right? So we have to map that data. Correct. In the due date need to be mapped. Invoice amount need to be mapped. Date need to be mapped. And this one we will remain empty because this is the input field that finance manager have to be right. Correct. And it's not a mandatory or a not required. If they want to add, they can add their comments. Otherwise, they can leave it, right? And this informations will come from the original form, right? That was submitted by the finance color. So these informations we need to submit, right, while creating the form, right? Now, the next scenario arises when that finance manager take a decisions, right? And let's suppose he approved that, right? The approval, there should be a approval hierarchy, right? Where you need to create a vendor invoice approval form also, right? And in this form, in simply, you can mention the subject because every mail or maybe the message required a subject, right? If it is confirmed, you can mention your vendor invoice, vendor name, form is confirmed, or if it is rejected, you can mention this is rejected, right? And if you go to open it to the open editor, there is a one simple label I just added to make it simplified. Vendor invoice form approved successfully. No further action is required, right? If it is rejected, I just simply mention the message also. Your form is rejected by the finance manager. Please check it with him for more details, right? So this is the simple process we created, right? And once it's got created, what you need to do, you have to release it, right? You have to click on release, right? And release it if you want to add any note, right? This is the first page or second page. You can put the notes and click on the release. I already released that. If you see, this is already released and deployed. So I will go back there in the release version that is 1.0.0, and I will open this one, the invoice validations approval form. And if we click on this, if we have a form link here, right? How we can start this form, right? Or other way, you don't want to start it from manually, right? You can configure this into the configure launchpad also in the work zone, right? If you see, use this parameter to configure this form trigger as a time in the SAP build work zone. If you have a SAP build work zone, and you can integrate this form to the SAP build work zone also via this URL. Okay, so we'll go with the browser only to trigger the form, right? This is the trigger point. I just simply copy the link and I will go back to the new tab and simply enter the link, and let's see what all informations will come up. Maybe let me check in different browser. Yeah, so this is the vendor invoice form, right? If you see, these are the informations. We drag it out for the while create a summary, right? Now, as a finance class, I will simply submit the form. Let's say this is the test vendor. Okay, invoice number, let's say it's a 1010. Invoice date, it's today's date. Vendor maybe test hyphen, let's say test vendor @gmail.com. And the amount maybe 10,000, and maybe let's suppose it's have a due date on this Friday. Okay, so as a finance clerk, right? This is the vendor invoice form I am submitting for the approval to the finance manager. Okay, so let's try to submit this form. Okay, your form was submitted successfully. Now it went to the finance manager for his inbox, while to review the form and take a decision. Either he and she have to approve or reject that. Okay, so now let's go back to the build lobby right here, and I will come up here, and this is the inbox sections, right? I will go here in the inbox because I set my email ID, right, as a finance manager, so it will come to my inbox. If you see, it will came to me, right? Your vendor invoice, last vendor we gave the value, right? Is waiting for the approval. If I will click on this CBC, this is the data and everything is read only, correct? And I can take my decision. Either I have to approve or I have to reject, right? So simply I make a decision. Your form is approve or reject, right? And I simply approved it. And once it's got approved, right? If I will go back here, right? It will come to this one, either a vendor invoice approval confirmed message or a vendor invoice approval rejected, right? So what we did, we took the steps to approve. So now this form should display, right? Vendor invoice approval confirmed, where what we did. Well, let me go back where we have a message, right? That my form is confirmed, right? So let's see. Again, I will go back and refresh my inbox. So I have one more message, right? Vendor invoice form approved successfully. No further action is required, right? I will submit it. So my form have all the task and all the tasks will got completed successfully, right? This is the simplest process or the use case for the today's demo. And as mentioned by Ranjit, right? In the monitoring tab, if something go here and there, we can see it via go to the process and workflows instances, right? If something happened, uh, maybe some misbehavior or something was didn't work correctly, right? Always we can come to monitoring and from here we can see the data. Okay, let me go back to the process and workflow. Let's see. It will take some time to load and I will showcase it to you how the logs will looks like. Watching. Know how it is coming like this. Maybe let me reload the screen. Oh, strange. Let me group it in another tab. Here. Yeah, it came up here, right? So let's select the project, any project, and our project is already completed, right? So it will have a let's see vendor invoice validations approval, status is completed, and all the details are here, right? So this is how you can get those information in Savvy, all that complete information, but all information we submitted, the data and all, you can check it from here. Okay, that's it for today. Maybe in the next series, we have some more complex use cases. We will trigger it from Y CAP applications or maybe some APIs, right? Maybe a different form and have more complex functionalities, right? With that actual customer and partner scenarios, right? But to come up everyone onto the same page, right? So everyone have the same knowledge from where we need to start it, what the mean of SAP Build Process Automations, what type of form we have, how to configure the form, how to release and deploy those forms, and how we can test it. This is the basic first sessions we just introduce to everyone. So probably going forward, we
Yeah.
have some more advanced use cases for you guys. With that, I'm just
Yeah,
stopping to
so
share
as
my
Ankur
screen.
mentioned, so we are going to formalize a full process for here for build process automation, and I create a series of 4 sessions, and we'll come back and yeah, we'll be collaborating with Satish, me and Ankur together, and break the best value proposition for all of us here. Yeah, and keeping in mind you are spending your time along with us and add a value into your real time scenario. So this is just a start. We will take it to the advanced use case with a real time scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ranjit. Thank you, Ankur. As
Thanks,
usual,
Satish, for
we
all the
always work
support
on
for
that.
the
Yeah,
community.
yeah, correct. Too great. Guys, in case if you have any questions, we will open it up. So please raise your hands. We can go in order. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hands here so that I can unmute you. So for this, we can do everything through a free BTP version itself, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It's all this possible
Mhm.
within the trial account. Whatever we are showing, It's
Mhm.
possible in the trial account. Yeah.
The services have any restrictions in the trial accounts, or it's enough?
It's a first.
Okay, right. Okay, right. Okay. Great.
Ankur, feel free to add anything from your side.
Oh, it's completely free. That's what we took the demo from the
Yeah.
trial account. So everyone
Okay.
can repeat the same task and the same process, what we tried. And we
Uh-huh.
can, if someone is facing any difficulty while setting up or while submissions their form and create those process, they can connect back to us. We can help them.
Yeah, great.
Mm,
Thank you.
yeah. Anything is there, you can drop us a
Yep.
Yeah,
message over LinkedIn or whatever we'll share, or email ID also. It's not a problem. So yeah,
Yep.
we are happy to help. So
correct.
yeah, if no further questions, we are on time, exactly on time
Yeah,
today.
correct.
And yeah,
So, Ranjit, you wanted to talk about SAP Insight Track also, in case
yes.
you
So
can just
we
give a minute
have an
to me.
SAP Insight Track second edition happening 14th of June at SAP Labs Bangalore office, and we all are like myself, Satish, Ankur, everybody is there and collaborating and trying to bring the best value. And this time we have extra track specific to BDC, Business Data Cloud, and all the sessions this times are planned near to the Sapphire announcement. Yeah, to keep in mind like everything is up to the strategy and the lineup with SAP. So please do join us. We'll be around, and if you have anything wants to catch up, we can catch up in person. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, guys, this is the last call. If anybody have any question, please raise your hands so that we can, you know, get it clarified. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. I mean, this is on time. So thank you very much for people who have been patient enough and spending your time on a Wednesday busy evening along with us. Okay. Um, nice meeting you all. So we will see you soon in the next week with the subsequent titles. Signing off from yes on the
Thanks,
Thanks,
next
everyone.
Kalik.
SAP episode.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Thank
everyone.
you for
Thank
your
you. Bye
times
bye.
and
Thank you
Thanks,
listening
all.
to
Satish. Thanks,
us.
everyone. Bye.
Take care,
Thank you all.
everyone. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye. Have a very great evening. Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. That is